Hey everyone, welcome back to Edu Expert, your smart learning hub. In 1945, when the world witnessed the devastation of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, a new chapter of history began, the nuclear age. The United States was the first to use atomic weapons, but soon after, the Soviet Union tested its own nuclear bomb. From that moment on, the world was divided between two superpowers, America and its allies on one side, and the Soviet Union and its bloc on the other. This rivalry created what we now call the Cold War. It wasn't a traditional war fought with soldiers clashing on battlefields. Instead, it was a silent yet fierce contest of technology, ideology, and above all, nuclear weapons. As the Soviet Union advanced its missile program, fear spread through the United States. What if Moscow could build rockets powerful enough to strike Washington, New York, or Los Angeles directly from across the globe? America needed an answer. Not just any missile, but a weapon that could respond instantly, travel across continents, and deliver devastating power in the blink of an eye. This was the environment that gave birth to the Minuteman program. The name, Minuteman, was symbolic. It referred back to the soldiers of the American Revolution, men who were ready to fight at a minute's notice. In the same way, the Minuteman missile was designed to be ever ready, hidden deep underground, prepared to launch within moments if the order was ever given. Unlike earlier nuclear bombers that required time to arm and launch, the Minuteman promised instant retaliation. It was a missile built on the philosophy of speed, surprise, and survivability. But the Cold War wasn't just a military standoff, it was also a psychological war. American citizens lived under the shadow of potential nuclear annihilation every single day. Schoolchildren were taught duck and cover drills in classrooms. Families built fallout shelters in their backyards, stocking them with canned food and water in case the unthinkable happened. Television broadcasts and government pamphlets constantly reminded people to be prepared for an atomic strike. This atmosphere of fear made the need for a strong deterrent even more urgent. And that's exactly what the Minuteman represented. It wasn't simply a missile, it was a message. Its existence was meant to make the Soviet Union think twice before launching an attack. This strategy was known as deterrence, the idea that you prevent war not by promising peace, but by promising overwhelming retaliation. In other words, if one side pressed the button, both sides would be destroyed. The Minuteman missile became the embodiment of this grim balance. The birth of the Minuteman III, therefore, was not only a story of engineering brilliance but also of human fear and geopolitical strategy. It was created in an age when survival seemed to depend on who had the faster trigger and the more powerful weapon. For decades, its silent presence in underground silos symbolized the dangerous equilibrium of the Cold War, a balance maintained not by trust, but by the terrifying certainty of mutual destruction. Deep beneath the American Midwest, hidden in vast stretches of farmland and rolling plains, lies one of the most extraordinary machines ever built by human hands, the Minuteman III Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. At first glance, it is just a missile, metal, fuel, electronics. But when you break down what it actually is, it becomes clear. This is not just a weapon, it is a technological marvel, a product of Cold War ingenuity, and a silent giant designed to awaken only if the unthinkable ever happens. Standing at nearly 60 feet tall, 18 meters, and weighing about 36 tons, the Minuteman III is not a sleek fighter jet you can admire in a hangar or a warship cutting across the ocean. It is instead buried, concealed inside hardened, underground silos, waiting. Its size alone is staggering. Imagine a rocket taller than a 5-story building, yet engineered to fit within a launch tube so secure that even a nuclear blast on the surface might not destroy it. The missile lives hidden in these fortified silos, scattered across remote areas of Montana, North Dakota, Wyoming, Nebraska, and Colorado. The American countryside, to the untrained eye, looks peaceful and ordinary. But under the soil, dozens of these steel giants sleep, invisible and terrifying. The Minuteman III is a 3-stage, solid-fueled missile, designed for speed and reliability. Each stage is a booster that propels the missile faster and farther than before. Within seconds of launch, the missile streaks upward, breaking through the atmosphere, accelerating to nearly 15,000 miles per hour, Mach 23. To put that in perspective, this missile could travel from the heart of the United States to Moscow in about 30 minutes. It doesn't just fly, it surges through the sky with unimaginable velocity, arcing high into space before plunging back toward its target. But the engineering brilliance doesn't stop with speed. The missile carries a re-entry vehicle, a cone-shaped capsule that houses its nuclear warhead. This capsule is designed to survive the fiery plunge back through Earth's atmosphere, withstanding temperatures hotter than the surface of the Sun, all while maintaining accuracy within a few hundred meters of its target, despite traveling thousands of miles. That's precision on a level that seems almost impossible. Even more fascinating is the way these missiles are kept combat-ready. The solid fuel means there is no need to fuel up before launch. It can sit in the silo for decades, always ready, always waiting. The silos themselves are like underground fortresses, sealed with blast doors weighing tens of tons. Each missile is connected to a network of underground launch control centers, where Air Force crews, known as missileers, maintain 24/7 vigilance. These men and women live underground for days at a time, knowing they control a machine capable of ending millions of lives, yet also preventing war through its silent presence. The Minuteman III is both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Terrifying because of what it can unleash. Awe-inspiring because of what it represents. A union of physics, engineering, and human willpower, all focused on one mission: to ensure that if America is ever attacked, this hidden beast in the silo can rise up and strike back. When the Minuteman III was unveiled in 1970, it carried with it a secret that would change the balance of nuclear power forever: MIRVs, multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles. Before this, an intercontinental ballistic missile was terrifying enough with a single nuclear warhead. But the Minuteman III took that idea and multiplied it. Instead of one warhead descending on an enemy, a single missile could unleash several, each aimed at a different target. It was as if one rocket had been transformed into many, an unstoppable storm delivered across continents. Here's how it worked. After the missile blasted into space and its boosters burned out, a section called the post-boost vehicle, sometimes described as the bus, came into play. This bus carried up to 3 nuclear warheads and had its own guidance system. Once in space, it could maneuver slightly, releasing each warhead on a different trajectory. The result: 3 independent nuclear re-entry vehicles, each falling toward separate cities or military sites, striking with unimaginable force. To grasp the impact of this innovation, imagine the difference between a single arrow and a handful of arrows fired at once. The first is deadly, the second overwhelms. MIRVs didn't just make the Minuteman III more destructive, they also made missile defense nearly impossible. Even if an enemy managed to intercept one warhead, 2 others would still get through. It was a technological leap that pushed the nuclear arms race into a new, more dangerous phase. For the Soviet Union, this was deeply unsettling. A fleet of 400 Minuteman III missiles, each capable of delivering multiple warheads, meant the United States suddenly had the capacity to strike hundreds of targets in a single salvo. Entire enemy command structures, missile bases, and even cities could be obliterated almost simultaneously. This was not simply a weapon of war, it was a weapon of intimidation. The very existence of MIRVs forced adversaries to rethink their strategies and accelerate their own missile programs. But MIRVs were also controversial, even within the United States. Critics argued that they made the world less stable. A single missile with 1 warhead was terrifying, yes, but also limited. A missile with 3 warheads, on the other hand, could potentially wipe out an enemy's nuclear silos before they had a chance to retaliate. This created what strategists called a use it or lose it dilemma, increasing the risk that one side might feel pressured to strike first in a crisis. The logic of deterrence, that neither side would dare to launch, suddenly seemed more fragile than ever. Still, from an engineering perspective, the MIRV system was a triumph. The accuracy, the timing, the sheer complexity of releasing multiple warheads from a single missile traveling at 15,000 miles per hour, all of it required breathtaking precision. It was a reminder of how Cold War competition drove human innovation to its absolute limits. The Minuteman III's MIRV capability was both brilliant and terrifying. It turned one missile into many, magnifying its destructive potential and ensuring that America's nuclear arsenal remained unmatched. For better or worse, MIRVs became a symbol of Cold War logic. If one bomb could terrify the world, why not 3? For all the engineering brilliance of the Minuteman III, the missile itself is only half the story. The other half lies deep underground, in the hidden world of the men and women who guard and control it, the missileers. These are the silent sentinels of the nuclear age, ordinary Americans placed in extraordinary circumstances, tasked with a duty so heavy that it is almost unimaginable, to hold the keys that could end civilization. Scattered across the Midwest, beneath fields of wheat and stretches of open prairie, are launch control centers, reinforced bunkers buried more than 30 meters underground. Inside, 2 young officers, often no older than their mid-20s, serve their shifts. The world above may be calm, cows grazing, children playing in small towns, but below ground, these missileers sit in a sealed capsule, surrounded by concrete and steel, living with the knowledge that they are connected to apocalyptic power. Their environment is as much psychological as it is physical. They live in confined quarters for 24 to 48 hours at a time, cut off from sunlight, working in silence broken only by routine checklists, radio communications, and the hum of machinery. Their role is defined by one principle: constant readiness. Every system must be monitored, every code checked, every order verified. Nothing can be left to chance when the stakes are so high. And then there is the ritual that has become legendary, the 2-person rule. No one is ever alone with the launch system. If the order ever comes, sealed encoded messages sent from the president, the missileers would simultaneously unlock safe codes, authenticate launch orders, and insert their launch keys. The keys must be turned at the same time, several feet apart, to prevent any one person from acting alone. It is a procedure designed to enforce discipline and remove even the possibility of a rogue launch. What makes this even more haunting is the human element. These are not faceless machines but living, breathing officers with families, dreams, and fears. They are trained to treat their duty with calm professionalism, but many missileers have admitted in later interviews that the thought never truly leaves their minds: if the order comes, we will unleash destruction on a scale never before seen. Some wrestled with the moral weight of their mission. Others took comfort in the idea that by standing ready, they prevented war in the first place. Their underground life is filled with routines to stay sane, reading, studying, even joking with their fellow crew member, but always with one ear tuned to the possibility of an alarm. Above them, hundreds of missiles wait silently in their silos, and these 2 officers are the human link between peace and Armageddon. In many ways, the missileers embody the paradox of the Cold War. They trained for a job that, if done in full, would mean the failure of everything else. Their mission was not to launch, but to deter. By sitting underground, watchful and ready, they ensured that no one would dare press the button above.